You're listening to Chaotically Disciplined with your host Shannon and Zaida, two goofy real-life rave moms where we chat about fitness, parenthood, and our love of music festivals.
We'll show you that you can have mid time management skills, occasional meltdowns, and be disorganized as fuck, but still always get shit done. The way that my fitness journey has transpired over the course of motherhood, it's very different. When I started, like before I was a mom, I was just kind of a runner, jogger. I would do random lifts in the gym. I didn't really know what I was doing. It wasn't a regular thing. And then when I was pregnant, I just kind of like walked and ran because again, that's all I was doing. Once I had babies, I joined a running club for moms. And that was the only way I could work out because I didn't want to pay for childcare to go to the gym.
Right.
And so I just jogged. I just ran a few times a week with my kids in a stroller. And that was my fitness routine for years. It wasn't until after I had the third one that I started to learn about macros and fell in love with fitness because of raving and festivals. Like that it was after I had my third baby that those things like literally combined and happened around the same time. Like falling in love with festivals and then learning how to actually train as I know it now. And if I had compared myself to how, like, if I could have foreseen the future and been like, she's going to be going to the gym 5 days a week, lifting for an hour, doing cardio 3 to 4 days, she's going to be tracking all of her food. If at that point, when the youngest was 1 year old and I had no childcare and I was working out in the parent room that was pretty much just cardio machines and those cute little pink weights, if I had seen the future and compared myself to then, I would have been like, you're failing. Like, you're not even trying. You're not doing anything. Like, what's the point? But you have to meet yourself where you're at. The way I got that done was, he came to the gym, he sat in his stroller. Yeah, he had screen time. I put a little thing on YouTube. I went to the main room and dragged in the weights that I needed for my workout because I had a friend training me at the time, so I really was learning how to do it correctly. And I got my workout done. I figured out how to get it done rather than be like, this is pointless because I can't like go all in. I'm supposed to be doing or like I would like to be doing. I challenged myself. That required planning. I had to do it before the other two got out of school. I still had other responsibilities, for maintaining the household and doing other mom stuff. Like that still required planning. It still was a challenge, but I wasn't overextending myself. And I also wasn't giving up and being like, well, I can't do it how I want it, so I'm just not doing it at all. Or, okay, well, I guess I can just do cardio because that's the only thing I have access to when I have my kid with me. I can't go work out in the main weight room. But
Right.
I figured it out. I was like, no, until somebody says something to me, I'm bringing in the weights that I need to do my workout. I'm going to put them back and then I'm going to go on my way. And that's how this started. And then it was like, okay, well, let's figure out how to. Now the kids are a little bit older. Schedules made more sense with like my husband's schedule. Can I make it up to the gym to actually be able to work out on the main gym floor instead of the parent room and have access to more equipment like machines and stuff and learn how to do that properly. So like slowly things changed, our environment changed. Okay, let's build a home gym a little bit. So now I have access to that and I can get more like foundational lifts in without having to leave the house.
Super nice.
So
I love
yeah,
that.
so like it's definitely like morphed over time and has maintained, like it's been challenging, but the way it's been challenging has changed. But if I had ever compared myself to somebody else who had more time, I would have felt like I was failing and I would have been like, what's the point? Or if I had not been creative in like how to get it done and just thrown up my hands and been like, I don't have time or I don't have access to that equipment or I can't go to a home gym. Like, how am I going to do this? I never would have learned all the things that I'm learning. And I wouldn't even be here right now. I wouldn't have become a coach because that determination to figure out how to fit it in my day and figure out how to get the lifts in that were in my program is why, like, I was so consistent with that people were like, are you a trainer? And I was like, no. And they were like, you should train. You should like certify. And I'm like, I mean, maybe that's not a bad idea. So I'm
That
not
was
saying if you do these things, you'll end up becoming a trainer, but that determination and consistency paid off in other ways I could not have foreseen. And if I had had that mentality of shutting it down before I even got started because it seemed like it wasn't going to work, or, because most people would be like that. Like, this is all I have access to.
right.
And be like, think outside the box. you can figure it out if you. I really wanted it. I really wanted it, and so I figured it out. Um, and I hired a coach to help me figure it out too, because it's not that I didn't hit walls. So you having a support system is really important, whether that's hiring a coach, having a supportive spouse, having supportive family and friends, because doing it alone will really feel impossible. You can't do it alone. You have to have somebody, even if it's a friend, that you can be like, I really don't feel like doing this, and they can help keep you accountable or tell you why. Like, no, 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 or maybe help you see those outside the box ideas to manage your fitness and parenthood at the same time. You know, that's how it's accomplished. Like, you can't, doing it alone will get overwhelming and feel impossible fast.
Sometimes you need the support. Yeah, which
Mm-hmm.
or the I'm thinking with my second because I'm thankfully my gym owner is clutch. She's a mom. She's had three girls and she's a boss, and she lets me bring my son to the gym with me. But honestly, because he's such a restless toddler, and it can be good if I plan it appropriately. But you have to think about it. It's like, okay, we're gonna have playtime. He's gonna be really tired. I can bring him to the gym right after that playtime. He'll be tired, but he's not in his nap time yet, and like having to work all of those factors to make it happen this time, like when the baby comes, like I've been imagining myself like what am I going to do with two of them because I'm not going to have them in daycare, and part of it will be stroller runs eventually, but going to the gym I might bring both of them at
Mm-hmm.
some point, and it might be like a very quick workout, but to make it happen, if I can't get to the gym in that 5 a.m. time frame, for whatever reason, like I might have to switch it up and have that inconvenient workout. I try to balance screen time, but I do save his screen time if I know I'm trying to go to the gym that day where I'm like, okay, you're going to be at the gym with me, so I got to make sure you have like 30 minutes ready to go. Sometimes I felt guilty about that, but it's like, nah, this is worth it. It's worth it
Mm-hmm.
for me to have this time for him to watch a little show. I don't need to feel guilty about this, okay? Because there's so much freaking input on media about screen time and how it's like ruining your kid and stuff like that. Well, yes, if it's too much, it's not good for you. But like those, any type of
I'm
information,
an everything in moderation for the most part kind of person. Like,
exactly.
ideally, would I want them to have less? Yeah. But sometimes that's like the way you get other stuff done. So like something's got to give. And so that's the thing with like fitness while you're a parent is you really, really understand in all situations that like, yes, there's this ideal and you should always work towards that. But also understand that if the ideal situation can't happen, you can still accomplish something towards that goal
Hmm.
rather than nothing at all. Like, it's not an all or nothing thing. It's not all, it has to be this ideal thing or you just can't do it. It's pointless. Because that's not the case. So that's kind of like the main takeaway, I guess, when it comes to pivoting your plan in general with parenthood or fitness or all those things together. And also like the guilt, the mom guilt, the dad guilt, or whatever we want to call it, is natural, and the only way out of that is through. And I think that you can't ever really completely get rid of it, or maybe if you can, but then it kind of like morphs into that anxiety or feeling like you have to rush or like get back to doing something else if it's interrupting family time. So it's more about just sort of learning how to realistically grasp that, and if there's no real reason for you to feel rushed or guilty about that, then like calm down. But it also does teach you too, like, you do learn really how to you become really good at pivoting your workouts and knowing how to trim them down and prioritize the things within your workouts that will still get you what you want, and you can kind of like cut the things that are like, yeah, that would be nice if I could do that, but if I can't do that, then at least I'm still doing this, and that's like the more important part of this workout. So you learn how to even prioritize things within your workout. So it's not like you had a bunch of fluff in there, hopefully not, but you start to learn like, okay, if I have to trim it down, what's got to go. You learn how to prioritize your workout. So it actually makes you more efficient when you train in general, because I can go in and I'm like, all right, I would love to do biceps and triceps, but I only have time to do my compounds. I only have time to do my compounds. Everything's still getting trained that way. So that's what we're going to do today. My arms are going to be okay if I can't train them in isolation exercises. We're going to be fine. Like, I would love to, but I
That's
don't
why
have
it's
time.
nice to invest in some way, honestly, if you can, in some
Yeah,
way.
if you
Oh,
can, having that at home is nice for sure. I realize that that's not an option for everybody. But that's the thing, too, is if you're struggling with being like, I can't afford that. Like, yeah, that would be nice, but I can't afford this. Or like these things that you're providing to me as answers are not options for me for whatever reason. That's why it is helpful to have a support system. Again, whether that's a coach, a friend, a spouse, whatever, because that person they have an outside perspective on something that you may be missing. It still happens to me. Like, that's why I still need it. I still need somebody to look at some problems that I'm faced with or things I feel are problems objectively, because they help me look at it. You can't always you can't always see it when it's happening to you or when it's a problem that you're faced with. You need like an outside perspective to be like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So you could be feeling like, yeah, it would be great to train and lift weights. I really want to do that, but I can't go to the gym. I have no one to watch my kid. I cannot afford to purchase weights. So having some other, someone who is educated in fitness or that realm can help you be like, okay, like what is the lowest hanging fruit then that you can pick? Can you go for walks with your kids? Like while they ride a bike, can you run? What form of activity can you still do? Like, yeah, lifting weights would be ideal, right? But like if you can't do that, what's the next best activity that is like, again, the path of least resistance, the thing that's gonna be the least difficult for you to add in? Or if you don't have time for that, can you control your eating better? Is nutrition the thing that you can control? Or is it sleep? Usually when you're a parent, sleep is the thing you have like the least amount of control over, at least in the beginning.
for
But
sure.
like, can you get better sleep? What is the health thing that you can knock out? So it doesn't, like, yes, there's the ideal situation, but sometimes that feels impossible when you're first starting out or when like your resources are very limited as far as how you can accomplish these things. So having someone supportive or someone who's more used to juggling it and making adjustments can help you go, okay, well, if you can't do that right now, what can you do? What is reasonable and realistic in your life right now? Because it doesn't mean this is this way forever, but right now, what can you do to still slowly chip away at that fitness goal without feeling like you're completely giving up on this thing that is important to you? And that's why it becomes frustrating for parents, is like, who are wanting to do a fitness thing, because that's what we're specifically talking about, is you want this thing for you and it's important to you, and then you get really really frustrated when it doesn't work out like you would like it to in the ideal fashion, and then you start to feel guilty that that upsets you. But it's like, it's okay to want that for yourself. And kind of like I touched on a while ago, like in the long run, initially it's always going to feel selfish, just like following the passion or the hobby. Like initially it will feel selfish. You have to just kind of, the more you do it, the easier it gets to like manage those kind of negative guilty feelings around it and really put it into proper perspective. Like you'll still have them, but you can rationalize them and be like, no, that's, I have that feeling, but that's not accurate, that's not right, I'm still a good mom, I still need to do this. So just like it is with the fun stuff, with fitness, it's the same thing. So you just have to you have to just start doing it. You're gonna feel guilty. It's not gonna look perfect. You're probably gonna have to change it 27,000 times.
Yeah.
Just start doing something towards it. And over time, you'll be able to rationalize those guilty feelings away. And then you become that thing. If you become that thing, that mom that prioritizes fitness, and now your kids have grown up seeing that. Like my kids have grown up seeing their mom goes to the gym just as much as their dad does. It's not like it's just a dad thing that happens. Both of their parents care about fitness. They will ask me for fitness advice. This particular filming of this podcast fits the vibe really well. It's like, you know
Definitely.
what? He should just stay in
Let's
the
just
room
let him
with
stay
me.
for a minute here.
Yeah.
He,
Hey.
it's funny because the other day someone was saying how he has a Boston accent without being from Boston. Because how do you say gray car? Daddy. Gray car? Daddy. What does daddy drive? It's just that you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations all the time when you're a mom.
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
always are having to learn something new, at least with your first kid, especially where like everything's brand new of how to deal with someone at that certain age, like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. Every
Hmm.
is different, but it like that applies to working out as a parent as well because it might not feel like good to bring the kids to the gym. It could not work out. You might only be able to stay for 10 minutes, but you still need to step into the gym with them and try if that's
Yeah.
available or leave
Yeah.
them with someone and maybe they have something go wrong in 20 minutes and you have to come home and take care of them. But you have
Right.
to at least put yourself in the situation to give it a try. That's all you can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, exactly. Pushing through that guilt, being willing to pivot the plan, making it work for whatever your situation is as it applies to like that current moment, and it'll change eventually into something else you have to figure out. But pushing through that initial like uncomfortable guilt, like I shouldn't be doing this, I'm taking time away from my kids, my family, my other responsibilities, like this feels selfish, like it's okay. It's a good selfish that you need to have. It ultimately you because you're setting an example for your kids that this is something that they need to prioritize so that it will potentially feel less uncomfortable for them when they are adults who become parents, that they won't feel guilty about it because it's just something like they saw their mom do it, and they like just same thing as the fun stuff. They see their parents go do fun things and be regular people and have other things outside of just being mom and dad, so that when they become parents, that's a priority for them too, to also maintain a life outside of just being mom and dad. So same thing with fitness. Like I want my kids to see like my mom, it's important to my mom to take care of her health and fitness. My mom is wants to be strong. Like my mom wants to be strong. My mom, it's not about being a certain size. It's like my mom likes being strong. My mom can almost get 10 pull-ups. My mom can like when I'll be like hip thrusting something or doing squats, and it's not like it's not impressive to people who lift, but like to my kids, they're like, "That's over 100 pounds. That's 200 pounds." Like, oh my god.
And then you
So
get on the leg press and they're like, "Oh my."
yeah, and now I have a daughter. Now I have a daughter, and this is important for my daughter and my sons. It's not like a, yeah, as a girl, it's really, I know that women in the gym, especially lifting free weights, I mean, that is important in a different way because that's really hard for a lot of women to like be confident in. And so with my daughter, like now she wants to come to the gym with me in the afternoons, sometimes after she gets home from school. And this is what would be selfish. The selfish part of me is like, when she works out with me, I don't train as hard. I don't train exactly the same way I would prefer to train when she comes with me. That's the honest truth. So the selfish part of me would be like, I don't want to take you because this is my time away to train how I want to train, and you're disrupting that. I bring her with me because I'm teaching her how to do it properly. I'm giving her confidence so that she has worked out in the gym at school by choice. The free weight room that usually is dominated by boys, with a friend where she's like led that girl through a workout.
Oh yeah, I
Like
remember you telling me that was like.
that like how could I have got if I had let mom guilt win, or let like
Not
bad time
including
management
her.
or bad priorities win, that never would have happened. Like that is the fucking cool one of the fucking coolest things like to me, that
Oh yeah.
she did that, and it wasn't because
She's
like none
15.
of this
It's
is
not like
coming from a
she's
place
older.
with her of like wanting to lose weight or like all the classic reasons a lot of like teen girls want to do it. It's just because it's just what I've always done. I've always done something fitness related. I like having strength based goals. Yeah, I also like my body to look a certain way, and I do impress upon them. Like we do like it's okay to like care about your physical appearance, but there's a limit that's a normal for that, right? So like
Right.
I feel like having that be hand in hand with just physically having these other goals, and that your appearance not being the focus of those goals, it's like an effect. Like you start doing these goals and you're going to look how you want to look, and you're going to carry yourself confidently and feel good about your body, but your body's also going to be like a little tank. You're going to be able to like do some cool shit with it. So like I if I had let mom guilt win, my kids would not have that lesson. They wouldn't have that lesson to learn that way. And it's an extra thing that sets them up for success that they would be without if I didn't prioritize it for myself.
Right.
And so there's that component of it, but because it's such a big part of my life now, like it affects you mentally, like how you can generally just like your headspace that you're in. So like if I go too long without going, then I'm not a great mom or wife.
The emotional component is my number one priority. I need this because I need the endorphins, especially when you're pregnant and postpartum and forever a woman. But in general, like the mood swinging and the ups and
Mhm.
downs, I know how I feel when I go to the gym, and that's why I want to go. I feel so good and more
Mhm.
stable. I don't want to say stable, but like clear of mind after. So that drives me to get there, and then all the physical stuff comes right after that. But it's been helpful for me to organize it like that in this stage of my life because I am tired a lot of the time, or I am
Mhm.
achy, sore, all that stuff because of pregnancy or postpartum or whatever I'm doing all day. And it's amazing that you can get such like a quick effect after you've worked out. You put in the effort,
Yeah.
and you know it's going to come out,
Yeah.
and at least
Yeah.
get you out of a
Parenting,
funk.
it definitely teaches you what you can accomplish tired. Like you learn the difference between like, okay, am I tired enough to still get some like, but I can still get something done, or am I tired and I should rest? Like you start to be able to judge the difference in that. Whereas I feel like maybe you can't really, I mean, at least I couldn't judge that properly. It's sort of like when you don't have that those parameters to gauge it off of, you can easily be like, I'm too tired, I'm not gonna lift, it's gonna be a rest day, and you can justify like, well, I didn't get a good night's sleep, so like I probably shouldn't train. When you're a parent, especially with little kids, you're gonna be doing pretty much all of this shit. You're gonna be existing tired all the time. Like it's not
Yes.
gonna always be that way. At some point your kids will hopefully sleep through the night and you'll feel better. But like you will have to be doing this stuff, not not rested in the, again, back to the ideal thing. A lot of this stuff is going to have to be executed under like less than ideal conditions. But that will ultimately make you better than most people, because that goes back to discipline versus motivation, or like there's never a perfect time to start, or all those cliche sayings that are there for a reason. It's true. If you are waiting for the right conditions or expecting some sort of trophy or medal because you can work out and eat properly when you feel like it or when conditions are perfect, that's not impressive. Like
No.
anybody can do it when conditions are perfect and when they feel like it. Like that's like my kids wanting like a hand of applause for doing the bare minimum on their chores. Like no, like that's the shit you're supposed to be doing. Like I'm not, like yes, thank you, but you're not gonna get extra for doing the bare minimum.
Yeah,
Like
that's a whole
anybody can do
philosophy
that.
that I appreciate.
Anybody can do that on anybody can go to the gym on a full night of sleep with a free day because when they feel like it and they're just like raring to go. Anybody can do that. But it's when you can do stuff that when conditions are not perfect, that that stuff ends up meaning more. And that's not saying run yourself into the ground. That is not saying it's you shouldn't be lazy sometimes. That is not saying the grind never stops, don't take a rest day, because I don't believe in any of that either. Like you definitely need to be taking rest days and not be overtraining and all of that. Like don't kill yourself doing this. Please rest. Like that's also just as important. But you learn as a parent that it's probably never going to be perfect, and you're probably most of the time not going to feel as rested as you would like to feel. You can't you can't not do it. You have to figure out like how to get that done, and you start to learn your level of like, I'm tired but not so tired that I can't go to the gym. I'll
Right.
figure it
Because the
out.
sleep deprivation from a newborn will teach you what that really
It'll
feels
it'll
like.
teach you a lot. It'll teach you a lot that that you don't want to have to accomplish, but you do, especially, and you'll learn too. Like the sleep deprivation from one newborn is one thing, but the sleep deprivation you have when you have a toddler and then a newborn, you're about to learn like a whole new set of things that you're capable of when you're tired.
Can't wait.
Yeah, but it's only gonna make you even better at doing all of the things that we talked about, because you have no choice. Like you
Hmm.
have no choice. You have no choice. You're not just responsible for yourself anymore. But that doesn't mean that you neglect yourself in the process. It's really important. It's really hard not to do that, especially in the beginning, but it's so important to like not neglect yourself through all of this, through all
Right.
of this like difficult, especially new parent times, because If you just kind of push through and figure it out and are always willing to constantly change with all of the different seasons of your life and your life as a parent, it's going to make you a better parent, and it is going to teach your kids really valuable lessons that I don't feel like they could learn otherwise, outside of you having like fitness goals that you prioritize and they can see that you prioritize that.
And it
Not to an
also,
obsessive level, but to a level that is like within the realm of being sustainable and healthy. You're teaching them so many lessons that I don't know how else they can learn if you're not the one showing them, like leading by example with that.
well, because things are going to be hard no matter what. So that's just life in general. It's a whole choose your hard, whatever that
Hmm.
means. And it
Right.
also helps you with how you handle difficult situations or challenging situations that are always going to be coming up, whether you're a parent or not, um, and facing them and moving into them and just dealing with it. It also changes the way that you handle other factors in life that are not related to these topics,
Mhm.
just difficult situations, like how you are able to calm your mind in the midst of a challenge is because you've put yourself in situations that are challenging, in
Yeah.
general. And that also
Hmm.
helps with a lot of different things like pain tolerance and things like that. And not even just tolerating hard pain, but like how do you get through that painful situation literally on
Yeah.
a physical level? And that ties into all like the labor stuff too,
Yeah.
which again is
Mental
like a whole
toughness and
other,
like a whole nother episode of
yeah.
stuff that I can ramble on. I was like, oh, this would
Successful.
be like a quick 20-30 minute episode. I don't know if we're capable of doing that yet.
It's good though because it just shows like how
Yeah.
important these conversations, like these topics are for moms, parents, just individuals in general that are trying to balance their health. You're not alone. Shit is hard, but we still get it done. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is that
Yeah.
it's just not
And like
comfortable. It's not.
let like have the ideal situation, because every once in a while you might be able to accomplish that, but
Okay, that vibe.
don't be married to that.
Right.
Please don't be married to that. Like have that as like your aspirations, that's fine, but have those aspirations be realistic. Meet yourself where you're at. Be willing to pivot and know that even your ideal thing right now, in the future, that's going to also change because you'll start to learn like what makes sense and what you actually wish to accomplish. So, yeah, it makes you a more roll with the punches individual if you let it. If you let it. I feel for you type A people though, man. Like, I imagine that journey might be a little bit different. I don't know. Let me know.
Talk to some moms that have said this in the past where it can be challenging when they are very structured and whatnot
Yeah.
because the baby is like to your plan.
Or maybe they have it way more to get. Maybe they get accomplished even more than I can imagine because like they're on a very rigid schedule, and
Well, I think that
that's just not how I've ever run my life.
but I think a type A personality is strong in being diligent about certain things, and like their version of consistency can help work through certain situations
Hmm.
in a
Hmm.
different way because
Hmm.
they're strict about certain things.
Right. They're like
And I would say that
their non-negotiables look very different, and like that is like these are the things that are going to be accomplished. Like maybe we move the times around, but like this is not gonna not happen. So like they're determined and disciplined in just a different way than how it applies to us, but it still ultimately like leads to the same thing. But
right, everyone's doing the getting it done, but just like it might be in a different way.
yeah,
But
yeah. Just
it's
some of
still
them are
gonna
more
hit us
organized.
all hard. We're still all
Yeah.
gonna be freaking tired and stressed out to some level. It's just a matter
Mhm.
because that's life's like joke. Like you can't escape the difficulty. Even if
Mhm.
unless you're like meditating on top of a hill forever, and at some point you're gonna get fucking hungry, you're gonna have to find some food. Like there's some challenge that's gonna come up, no matter what the situation is. And I think accepting that things are hard, but embracing the difficulty and embracing the sensations that come along with challenge instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't control that. This is where you have to deal with anxiety on a personal
Mhm.
level, obviously. That's
Yeah.
everybody's personal battle. I still deal with the anxiety, like the intrusive thoughts about like what could, inhibit me from doing all types of things.
Mhm.
But just it does help to push to find a way to push past that. And if you don't have that ability, talking to someone to help you with that is, like you said, the support system is
Mm-hmm.
huge, because then you can meet people that have maybe gone through your exact same situation or have the same
Mm-hmm.
type of mind as you, personality as you, that you can vibe with and be like, okay, I'm not the only person that feels this way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a really emotional person and like sensitive person, you know, you're not alone. It's just nice to relate
Mm-hmm.
to someone that might have the same perspective or maybe a totally different perspective, to show that, okay, like I don't need to be a victim in my situation.
Right.
Everyone has a challenge and chaos in their
Right.
life some way. Everybody's dealing
Yeah.
with some shit.
Yeah. Exactly. That goes back to like, don't play the comparison game. Like, be careful how you play that with yourself. It should only be you against you, but still be careful how you play it with yourself. But like with other people, they may look like they have it all together, but I promise you, they're dealing with their own stuff. They're dealing
Definitely.
with their own stuff and their own like difficulties, and they're having to make concessions somewhere.
And to
Something has got
respect,
to give.
you never know, and to respect that, you never know. And even if you do think you know enough about that person, like it still doesn't matter, because it's still your life, it's still your individual situation, and it's individual children. Difference, like comparison of kids and all that, like milestone stuff too, is a whole other ball game of motherhood, you know, where like certain kids are in certain places and you're like, am I doing something wrong that my kid isn't accomplishing, that all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh gosh, this
Hmm.
is intense as a mom, because you want to like make sure you're on track and being a good mom, so you know, to raise your kids the right way, and like if there's something I'm not doing right, all of that stuff you're dealing with on like so many levels. It's not just about like
Yeah,
fitness and your own stuff. It's your kids and trying to be the best you can be, and sometimes you
yeah,
have a different kid, so it's a
yeah.
different person. So yeah,
Well, I
that's
think
a
that
conversation.
this stuff also, when you are trying to incorporate all these things together, like your fitness goals, your passions, your hobbies, the things you do for fun, and parenting, and like those responsibilities, it if you can start to learn how to balance it without like totally losing your shit. We all have our frustrations and like don't have perfect reactions to things. Like I definitely don't, but like if you can show your kids that you can, like there's room in your life for all of this stuff. It's not an either or. You can't be a mom or go out and have fun. You can't be a mom or be fit and in shape. It's not, you don't have to choose between one or the other. You can have all of them. It's just there's a give and a take, and it's going to look different than someone who doesn't have all of these responsibilities, and that's fine. If you can handle this realistically and like have expectations that are reasonable, like still challenging but reasonable, you're only going to teach your kids how to become better, more capable individuals. So if for no other reason, like that should be something that is going to help you through the guilt. Like that, yeah, can have these feelings, but that's what's going to help you rationalize yourself through them is, yes, I feel guilty, but I know that's really not realistic. I'm a good mom. I do all of my stuff I do for my kids. Like this is like a little pocket of time during my day or my week or whatever, how frequently you do it, that I do this thing for myself. And in the long run, I'm teaching them a really good lesson that this is important and you can balance all of these things. You have to meet yourself where you're at and be realistic about what that looks like. And it can always change. It will always change.
Definitely. Well, I think that's a bit of a wrap now. Covered a lot there,
Yeah.
and
We have rambled on again forever. And, we can hear, I'm sure I'm going to edit, I'm going to do my best to edit it, but I'm sure there's going to be kid voices in the background and all kinds of fun stuff. But that I'm okay with that. We appropriately named this podcast, and we have been very upfront about what this is going to look like. Like,
yes,
this is not
exactly.
going to be like a sparkly clean, pristine podcast. This is basically just going to be a FaceTime call where me and Zaida talk about things we feel like would be important for other people to hear.
That's all we can manage right now. I mean,
Yeah, so sometimes you're going to hear our kids in the background.
but that's the reason why you
If
should
that
too.
bothers
Start
you,
a podcast. Start a
then maybe
podcast.
the podcast isn't for you. I don't know. Because I'm hoping that when you hear that shit, you're going to be like, wow, okay, so it's not just me.
Right. If you have stuff to do and you're like, oh, I can only do this if my kids weren't around. No.
Yeah, no, yeah, ideally, yes, we would like to film the podcast when our kids are not around, and that's usually how we plan it, but that ain't always going to be the way it's going to go.
right? We got to keep these
So here
things
we are.
going.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. We're gonna call it for today. Till next time. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.